This is very clear to me now, and I want to share. The more we're not being our true selves, the more guilt and shame we're going to be accumulating and harboring inside. And this is so apparent in narcissistic relationships, where in order to survive these type of relationships, you either had to become a version of yourself that narcissists would like, or you have to at least be the version of yourself that is not getting punished, disrespected, demeaned, devalued, shamed, mocked, or discredited. So then in order to do this, you start to change your taste in music, food, hobbies. Also, you start withholding information from the narcissist or not telling them exactly the truth. For example, if they don't like your close friends, narcissists are very easily threatened because they have very fragile egos. So if your friend has even a little bit of independent thinking, they're going to find them threatening, and they'll start to isolate you from your friends by discrediting them, by constantly nagging and constantly punishing you, starting in something subtle, but then escalating the more you are hanging out with a friend. And then all of a sudden you may find yourself not telling them when you hang out with your friend, and you're not telling them the truth because you don't want to listen to their nagging or their hurtful comments or some sort of mocking and jokes or whatever they do. And after some time, you start choosing the path of least resistance with them, which I completely understand, and I've been there myself before. But then the price of that is that you start not being honest. And for people who are not liars, that starts eating you on the inside and becomes very damaging. This is why a lot of people who, once they leave narcissistic relationships, they feel like they're a shell of themselves because they had to change so many things about who they are in order to survive in these relationships. Then they have a hard time getting in touch with who they actually are. And I think the biggest part of getting in touch with who you really are is being honest with yourself. You don't owe anyone else complete honesty, but you own honesty to yourself. And the way you start being honest with yourself is by owning your yeses and owning your nos, which is a lot easier to say than to do. I come across so many people that are telling me stories like someone is pointing a gun at their head and making them do all of these things they don't want to do. Oh, I've been to this party because I didn't want to make this person feel bad. I did all of these things that I didn't want to do, but I did them just to make other people happy. So it goes back to, are you really honest with yourself? Are you really owning your yeses and nos there? Who is making you go to all of these things that you don't want to go? It's easier said than done, because you have to stay true to yourself. And if you stay true to yourself, then you have to get over other people being uncomfortable when you stay honest with yourself, when you have your boundaries, when you are instituting and respecting your boundaries. What I also found interesting is that if your yeses and nos become very weak, so your people are able to convince you, say, no, I don't want to do this. And they're like, well, they ask you 5 different ways and they wear you down, and then you say yes. Then it becomes a habit that you do with a lot of other things. Then all of a sudden, and I found this recently also by talking to some people, also examining some of my previous choices, is that then most things you end up doing is because other people want you to do that. And deprogramming that means, again, owning what you really want, what is a yes and what is a no for you, and then sticking with that. And letting go of how uncomfortable is Joe Schmo because you didn't show up for something you really didn't want to do. But it's a bit more complicated than that, because that accumulated guilt and shame that you've been harboring when you didn't go along with what other people want you to do is going to be there, and you have to deal with that. And that's the part of the healing journey. It's the dealing with, why are these things making me feel guilty? Why is taking care of myself, honoring what I want, why is that making me feel guilty? And dealing and releasing that guilt and shame. So it gets a bit more complicated than that. But I wanted to share that, and also look how pretty it is here and peaceful and quiet after the snowfall that we had a couple days ago. If you have something to share on this topic, please put in the comments. I would appreciate if you hit like, share, subscribe. And if you're someone who wants to work one-on-one on healing from toxic and narcissistic relationships, contact me. I'm a coach and I can help you. Thank you.